Down about Route 10, get off on the last exit and take it around the bend. You'll find a small town, but don't go hanging around, 'cause hate lives in a small town. At least that's what I have found. The moms are in the kitchens and they're baking pies. They smell so good they're made to cover up the smell of lies in a small town. But pies don't cure all ills, and hate lives in a small town. That's why those moms take pills. Well, I went to the big city and everyone was wearing black. They saw that in my hometown, they wouldn't stand for that. I saw kids all covered in tattoos with mohawks and purple hair. But what really struck me was no one seemed to care. Oh, the Knights, they beat the Badgers when they played down in the square, but they saved the biggest beating for a kid with longish hair there in a small town. That kid was me 1 year. Hate lives in a small town, more so if you seem queer. And I did. The pastors in the pulpit preaching righteous lives, and the congregation, they don't know he slept with all their wives in a small town. And it's so clear to see that hate lives in a small town, as does adultery. Well, I went to the big city with my clothes in a pack. When I got off at the station, there was no turning back. I met freaks and creeps and weirdos, loose women and some geeks. And they were the nicest fucking people I'd ever hoped to meet. When you roll into a small town, well, they're nice as they can be, but at night they put on sheets and hang your sad ass from a tree in a small town. Don't dare be different, 'cause hate lives in a small town, unless you're just like them. So if you're living in a small town and you feel you're in a vice, buy yourself a ticket, kid. Hell, just take my advice and leave the small town. Be quick as you can be. Get out of that small town and you'll be free like me. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. This next one is also from the country record. It happens to be my wife's least favorite song. She says this is the worst song I ever wrote. Yeah, she's a very supportive woman. That sounds like a joke, but it's true. She's extremely supportive, extremely loving. She never says a negative thing about me. So I'm sure when she says it's the worst song I ever wrote, she doesn't mean that it's written poorly. She means she doesn't agree with the message. I'm not sure why. I think it's a lovely song. I think it's got a great message. In fact, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that 50% of you are going to love this song. You are going to love this song. You're going to love this song. You're going to love this song. Yes, you too. Slash, you're definitely going to love this song. You're going to love this song. You're going to love this song. You're going to love this song. You could go either way. I did read that in the bathroom. It was in your handwriting. I'm just kidding. You're going to love this song. The rest of you, I don't know so much. Anyway, I think it's fantastic. It's called All Women Are Crazy. All women are crazy. are cheering in now, ladies. Cause though we know they're crazy, we still want some. There's nothing new, and it's sad but true, that we just can't quit a man. We can't live with a what's a man to do. Back in the Bible, there was a tree. Lord said to Adam, don't you eat that fruit. He said, fine by me. But then along came Eve, looking to do wrong. And on account of her tits and his lack of wits, Adam went along. 'Cause all women are crazy, all men are dumb. 'Cause though we know they're crazy, we still want some. There's nothing new, and it's sad but true, that we just can't quit a man. We can't live with a what's a man to do. Take my old lady, please. I bought her a gown. We were fixing to go out mixing out on the town. She said, do I look fat? I said, heck no, just a little round. And since that day I've walked this way, it hurts to sit down. 'Cause all women are crazy, all men are dumb. 'Cause though we know they're crazy, we still want some. There's nothing new, and it's sad but true, that we just can't quit a man. We can't live with him. What's a man to do? Fellas, there comes a time in every woman's life, about once a month to be exact, and they get kind of ornery. Oh, they start kicking and fussing and fighting. We don't know what's wrong with them. But in a week or so, they generally come around. They'll look you right in the eye, too, and they'll say, I'm sorry, honey. I was just PMSing. Now, ladies, I feel for you. I really do. It is not an easy thing to go through. But since we already know the outcome, I'd like to try a little experiment. Boys, the next time your woman gets crazy, let's say about a month from now, I want you to just look her right in the eye and I want you to ask her, honey, are you sure you're not just PMSing? And you better grab your balls and run for the hills. When I met my lady and asked for her hand, she was the calmest and the sweetest girl in all the land. But then the ring went on, and she went all wrong. And like a midnight thriller, she went bridezilla. She spat pea soup and became a killer. She ate 3 kids and my auntie's wig and the pastor's dog. Why? 'Cause all women are crazy, all men are dumb. 'Cause though we know they're crazy, we still want some. There's nothing new, and it's sad but true, that we just can't quit a man. We can't live with him. You just can't shoot him or you'll end in prison, and the fighter from hell in your prison cell might take a shine to you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Where's Lori Beth? Is Lori Beth somewhere I can see her?
He's dealing with club stuff.
All right. How about hey, TJ? The can for Sophie Lancaster. Where would that be found?
It's
At the front door?
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to direct your attention to my penis. Oh, sorry, I forgot to bring my electron microscope. Okay. I do want to get your attention and let you know there is a can up front where you can put a donation to the Sophie Lancaster Fund. Now, for those of you who don't know who she is, she was a beautiful goth young lady like ourselves. I've been a beautiful goth young lady since 1984. Or at least looked like one for a good long while. It was the 80s. And she happened to be walking along with her boyfriend, who was also gothical. And some people who were not so gothic decided they looked funny and, in essence, beat her to death. Yes, this happened in England a couple of years ago. Her mother started a foundation where she goes to schools and they sort of try to educate about openness towards diversity. So if you have $1 or $2 or, you know, like a little Obama dollar, did they make those yet? Oh, okay. Soon enough. Throw it in the can. I know I will be putting a little bit in there because, gosh golly, if I had a nickel for every time someone kicked the shit out of me because I look funny, I'd be rich. Yeah, that's the problem. I grew up in New Jersey, that's exactly right. In any case, we've all kind of been in that situation where somebody has been like, that guy looks weird.
I do not.
Yeah, you kind of do. Anyway, where's the circus weirdo? In any case, if you can sympathize with that situation, help the cause. This is a song that is not about that situation, but it's about a similar phenomenon that happens, I find, particularly in the goth scene for some reason. Have you ever noticed that it doesn't matter where you go, if you go to a goth club, there's always some douche who's gother than you? Because he was like going to that club 1 week before you did. Like, I've been goth longer than you. We're 12. How much longer could you have been goth? I was born goth. My mother's labia are made of the blackest velvet. Shut the fuck up! This is a song from the country record. It's a bit of a parable, but the message behind it is essentially that situation. And yes, whatever that is. And for whatever crazy reason, I've got one of those in my life who still follows me around and saying, I did it first. And I'm like, shut up, Peter Murphy. Okay. The other day I took a walk because the air was sweet, and I passed the crusty house of a curmudgeon on my street. Now every town has got one, so I'm sure you'll understand when I tell you this old bastard is a mean and bitter man. Well, that day it was special, I was wearing my new hat. The old curmudgeon saw this and he disapproved of that. He said, I've had one just like it for 10 years, you ripped me off. You got no right to wear a hat like mine, so take it off. What an asshole. Well, as it happens, I'm a gentleman, so I approached his porch. I told him, great minds think alike, and you have one, of course. So how about I just tip my hat to you when I come through? He reached down for his gun and said, I'll shoot you if you do. And I said, no one's gonna cry at your funeral. No one's gonna drink at your wake. No one's gonna sigh with a tear in their eye, 'cause no one's gonna miss you when you're dead. Well, the next day I forgot this whole damn mess and went to town. And there I saw 100 or so posters all around. And on them was my face, and I was wearing my new hat. And they read, this guy ripped me off, I've got one just like that. Lame. I took a walk down to his house to see if I could find a way to show him that we're kindred spirits of the mind. I said, I didn't make these hats, nor did you, of course. And hey, we both love Johnny Cash. He said, get off my porch. And I said, no one's gonna cry at your funeral. No one's gonna drink at your wake. No one's gonna sigh with a tear in their eye, 'cause no one's gonna miss you when you're dead. When you look back on your life, what will you see? Did you spend potential enemies. So don't waste so much time pushing away your kind. Well, I thought I must be stupid or just crazy from the heat when I went back to the house of that curmudgeon on my street. Maybe it was foolish to go to his house again, just to show this crazy drunken fool he had a friend. When I got there, much to my surprise, he wasn't there. He was gone, as was his shotgun and his rocking chair. I asked the neighbor lady who was laying on her lawn, what happened to that mean old man? She shrugged and that was all. And I thought, no one's gonna cry at your funeral. No one's gonna drink